Out there. All right. Welcome. Okay. You should be able to see my Sky screen, and I have it in it's an archive for right now. So what we were doing is one of the great parts about Skies is that you can create, so like if you're going to be delivering the same content to like several groups of kids, you can do it this method where you have each class, so similar to how we would do with like a middle school setting. And so one of the really great things is these were all assessments that we were required to give our students. And so we just gave it to them. The kids, we enrolled the kids into the class, but we just use this as like our assessment platform. So similar to like what you would do with Edulastic. And you, a really underutilized feature of Skies is this ability to like view as a student. So for instance, if we were Andres, I would just go in and view as him, and I would know exactly where I needed to pick up on the assessments with him. So for instance, he was here in this level 3. So I know like, oh no, he actually started higher. So it would tell you exactly where the kid needs to go. So let me just give you a sample of him. And we as the teachers would log in as Andres and then make the notations that we needed to, and then provide the score. So this is one way that you can do it where the students are not like having to do any of the technology, but it really becomes a really awesome tracking system for you. And it's completely transparent to all the teachers that are involved. And I'll show you a little bit more about that. So, for instance, this particular criteria was to exit at this stage. So we see that he's already completed that one. So he was eligible to exit. One of the powerful things when we look at is if we get into a grade book, and we go back to the teacher view. So when you go into your grade book, it gives me a very clear picture very quickly of where all our students are at. And so there's a capacity to sort however you want. So in this particular one, these are all of our first graders. I can see where it's being plotted. Right. And I know that this is level 1, level 2, and it's just a matter of how you want to lay it out, of course, whatever works for you all. And then I can see where they're falling. So this indicates like if they have a 3 out of a 4, that means that the child is not at that level and I need to reassess them. And so we can see in the case of Levy, he had a 4, which means we reassessed him, and now we need to go back in and rescore to see if he met the criteria for a 5. So I know that's just like really, really particular to like what we were doing with Primary Promise, but you can see how it's very easy to just, all these kids are in different courses, or excuse me, different classes at our school site. And so it's just easy for me to put them where I want them to be. And then if you want to, you can transfer into their Schoology account. That's not a problem. But we didn't, for our particular uses, we didn't need to. So then let's say I wanted to flop over with the same assessment, but now look at my second graders and where they're scoring, and we would expect, they needed to be at the higher levels. And so again, we start to see very quickly, like Kevin, I need to go back and rescore. I see my notes are, and then I could re-enter the score here for him. Like, oh, he's still at a 3. He was still missing he still needed some prompting, right? So that's one way where this was what we called our teacher course. So that meant that our particular staff of teachers was able to be the ones interacting in here, and it wasn't like what you see with Julia's doing where the kids are interacting with the course. We did have that as well, and I'll show you that in a second, but this was purely meant for us to be able to then keep track of all of their data in a very quick and succinct manner. And what I meant by saying that another underutilized feature here would be here, and when you have your admins, of course, those are the people that are able to use it just like you are, your co-teachers. But in a lot of times we would add our additional support staff or the classroom teachers into here so that they can see their own student progress as they're going on. So that was another way to do that. You do that through your administration, and then you just add them as an observer. And the difference between observer and co-teachers, observer really, it sounds exactly what it is. It's like if you think about when you have Google Docs, right? It's just the one that they're allowed to view, and they can take copies of your teacher cards and then put them anywhere else. However, they're not able to score or do any types of comments or anything like that. So if you are out of the classroom, a good thing you might want to do too is ask your teachers to add you in as an observer so you can see what's going on in the classroom too. And I like to support that because then we can see where they're pacing. And then if we see our own students are not doing as hot on some topics, we want to go ahead and reteach that into our classrooms as well. All right, am I going too fast or we're okay pace? Just interrupt me if you need, because we're a small group, so it's totally fine. Good. Another way that we can utilize this in our work with teachers would be to, where was I going to go with this? I was going to show you what the course looks like when we have our students. So I know a couple of us were discussing this a few minutes ago. Like if our students are all in different courses and I want to put the same information to them. So let's go back to like my same first graders. You would want to utilize groupings, right? I may have gotten all deleted now because rosters changed. Give me a second. User groups. So this is another great feature. Like I was able to turn on, these are all the students in all the classes. So we created different categories, whether they were in first grade, second grade, or third grade. And then we broke it down even further into like our really small groups of like 4 to 6 students. And so at any given point in time, I knew that Abigail was a first grader in the rectangle group. And let's say she changed, right? She came to our circle group. So it's very easy to just switch her group digitally. And then the information that gets put in front of her, it'll go with it. It'll transfer into the cards. So this is another feature that you can put as many groups as you want. This particular course that we have here held 89 students. And so we did it all through one. You could do it through multiple courses because as you know, your Skies account is unlimited number of actual classrooms that you can create. So it's whatever works better for your management style. In this particular case, we just broke ours down into first, second, third, because we wanted to do some of these intergrade level challenges that so we wanted them all in the same place. Okay. The way you would set that up, if we're not familiar with, is let's say I wanted, this card is currently open to all of my students. And let's say I wanted to change it. I can go here to where it says group. And let's say I only want to give it to my first graders. So that turns it on for first graders. And let's say I'm also going to give it to second graders. So I can close that out, and then you'll see that it now tells me the names of the groups as well as the names of the students. You see that they pop up and populate there. Now, I have a ton of names, so it'll be really hard to like scroll down to see all of them that are in there, but then you can always click it and then it'll give you, which cards are switched on for which kids. Okay, so that's another way to just manage quickly. This works out really well in a classroom as, if we're doing small group instruction and teachers want to put a particular passage at a particular level to different students. That is one way to do it as well. But in terms, I personally switched away from Schoology as well as Google Classroom and went all to Skies, even as a 5th grade teacher, because we would do a lot of teaming and things like that. So it was just much easier to give everybody the same level of access. So we know that sometimes the trouble is that when you have, cross platforms, like if we're using Schoology and something else, teachers don't have access to everything. And so the beautiful part of it is that with Skies, they are able to be you can put each other as observers or co-teachers, whatever your preference is, and you're able to interact completely with all the parts of it. Now I didn't.
So how did you do the groups?
I'm sorry?
How did you do the groups?
Oh yeah, we can review how to do that. Sure. Okay, so when we go into, there's 2 ways to do it. If you're gonna set them up from the very beginning, you just have all your students enroll, and then you go right here in the 3 dots in your course, and we click user groups.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
If you all want to join, actually, let's do this. I'm going to drop a link and have you join the demo just so you can see it from start to finish. I will let you all know that if you want to join this mock course right now, go for it. 1 second. I will delete you from the course as a student right after, just because it does have sensitive, like our district. Not sensitive, but like we'll just close this course after. I do see a question, Edwin. Yeah, I think you can do a one-on-one training session. Let me give you guys my email and I'll talk to James about how we set that up. If you're looking for something specific like this, groupings, let me know. That's my LAUSD email. Just give me about a week or so. You all know how this is, school starting. But we can definitely help you do a one-on-one session if that's more up your alley. Okay, so did anybody get the chance to join the course already? Let's see. Oh yeah, we got Kimberly. Okay, cool. So what I'm gonna do is create groups for ours, so I can just go into any of our lessons. And the nice thing about it is the groupings that you create carry through all your lessons. So what we can do is, well, we only got 2 groups, but that's okay. We're gonna add a group. I'm gonna just call this group A or group 1, whatever. Y'all get the idea. And then we can just call it group 2. And then maybe I'm gonna have different groups for ELA and the number of groups is endless. Okay, so let's say I say Kimberly is in my ELA group. I service her for ELA, but then Vicky, I service you in math. And then I want to put both of you in group 2, right? It's that simple. You turn them on. Kids can be in as many groups or as few groups as you want. And now with this, everything is saved. All we have to do is close. And so let's say I'm going to do a worksheet, counting worksheet.
I'm sorry, I got kicked out.
No worries. You're back though. Great. All I'm doing is, I know I saw that you got into the course, so that's great. What I'm going to do is just kind of model how we might turn this on for different groups. Are we good?
No, I went on my phone and it kicked me out. Can you give me, oh, there's the code. Never mind.
Oh, sorry. Are you good? Okay. How do you join? What I can do is I'll have you guys join directly into this lesson. Again, this is just for demo purposes to show you. And so as a couple more people join, I'll show you the features in just a second. So what I've done is I've turned this on as a worksheet. And right now, all my students have access to it. But since it's math, what I'll do is I'm going to just turn it on for my math group. Okay. And then you'll see it's only Miss Redmond is the only one that's going to be able to see it because she's the only one currently in my math group. And let's say I'm going to do a fluency passage. So I really like this for those of you that are intervention related and you have both subjects. You can create 2 different courses or you can just work from one course. It's totally up to you. Let's say I don't want responses. You're just going to be able to view it. And then I'll switch this. And the only group is for ELA.
Christina, I have
Yes.
a question.
Sure, Vicky.
I was playing around with these buttons while I was looking at this seminar. And, you know, I saw this new differentiate model and I was wondering, could I take Jill the jellyfish and differentiate that passage for lower to higher readers? You know how they have the same passage at different levels for readers. Is that something I can do with that differentiate button? Do you know?
I think, where are you seeing the differentiate button?
Oh no. Well, you know what? Now I'm in your course, so let me go back to my course where
Yeah, because I think it's doing it through the groupings. Let me see where.
No,
It might be something new.
yeah, it was something new, but now I'm a
Okay.
student in your course. So
You can go back to your own course right here just by clicking courses.
back courses. Okay.
And then you switch over to your teacher mode.
Wow, you know, I only got your courses in
Because you're in student now. So if you see the tab at the top on the left, it'll say teacher. So here, let me show you.
Oh
So
yeah,
you might be here. You click
Got it.
over to here.
I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just see where I got the differentiate. Where did I find that now? You can keep talking because
Okay.
I'll look for that, and I'll let you know when I find it.
Sure, no problem. So I hope this was able to like clarify just a little bit about, I know it's with so few people, it seems like, okay, everybody can see it. But when we switch the view as a child, you can see like now Miss Redmond only has this sheet available. And if she were to log in as a student to the course right now, and then Miss Henry would only see this in front. Now me as a teacher, I get to see everybody and I get to see what they're doing in, live, right? And then when I go to export it or look at my grades or however I want to do it, I can manipulate that all very quickly and move things around. Okay, does this kind of help you a little bit, Stephanie, about how to do the groupings?
I think so. I'm still pondering, but
Yeah.
because I'll have every grade level, so I was trying to think of how exactly I wanted to set it up. Do I want each grade level and then within the grade level, groups? So
Yeah,
grade.
so if you're going to be doing different content for each grade level, I would recommend creating a different course for each grade level. That's just me personally. So like I work with my second grade teachers, so we have a second grade course, we'll have a third grade, a fifth grade, things like that. But if you have where you're servicing mixed groups at one time, then I would utilize just the one course. So for instance, like we had our primary promise, this was our teacher work course, but then for our students, we called it Math Lab. And what we did is we enrolled all students first through third that we were servicing, and then just used that grouping feature for them. Because with that particular way of doing it, I knew that we had mixed groups. Like we had second and third together for some session. We had, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes we had first and with second, and we weren't looking at it as grade level. We had the skill based. So it just depends on how you're planning to do it.
Okay, I think I found that, Christina.
Okay. Stephanie, you're still letting this marinate, and I'll come right back if you have more questions. But Vicky, do you want to walk me through, or do you want to just screen share? Let's see if you can screen share.
Well, I actually did it on my other computer.
Oh, okay, no worries. Let me see if I'll share my screen and let's see if you want to show me where you found that.
Well, I was playing with that AI, and then I put in a short vowel review for third grade. And then I don't know, it's an old style of screen share. I guess you can't see that since I'm all blurry in the background. But then there was 3 dots at the top there, and it was differentiate, but I hit that and nothing happened. So I'm not sure.
Okay, so AI is pretty new. I would say that I did not work with AI last year. So if you wanted more on the AI components, I would send you over to talk with James and Julius. They will be able to give you more details. That's on my to-do list to explore, but I had to start all new with different things at new school. So I didn't get to AI this is my new goal for the year, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I loved your grouping idea. That was super fantastic.
Yeah, I'm glad it's helpful. And again, like it's so customizable. That's the really great thing about Skies. Like you can change from one to the next. I know we had an issue where teachers were enrolling their students a different way into Skies versus what we were doing. And it was really easy to just merge them all together and then just add them to the groups. So sometimes we had kids like 2 usernames in the group and it didn't matter. We're just like clicking it on. It was much faster. So it just ends up being really, really cool. If you want another way to customize your lessons, like I said, I prefer to use it through the user group names because you can just toggle on and off. But another way is, let's say this is the lesson and I only want my first graders to see it. I would click here under all students. Your first thing is to turn it off to everybody. And then it'll open it up, and then I can just select, like I know Abigail was a first grader, so I'm going to turn this one on for her. Adeline was a first grader. You see how they have like duplicate usernames? Bless you. That was just an error that came up on like when the teachers enrolled, so we just let it go, right? So I could do it this way, but I feel like when I did it this way, it didn't have like, it was more cumbersome to go back in and change one by one. Whereas if I used a group and just called it first grade, I could just toggle on and off at any given point in time. So that's just another way that you can customize that, if you only want it to be all of your first graders or all of your second or whatever the case may be, it'll all be that way. And you can see like it's turned off to all my other students except for these. Oh, and it looks like it would be lovely if we could just like click and turn it on, but I think that's what you do through the user part. So yeah, that user groups has been a phenomenal for our out of classroom work.
So this makes me think that I should have a different course for each class, kind of, because the kids would be mixed, the names would be mixed up. Although it's not necessary because this is not actually for grading or anything.
Right.
It's just for my organization.
So it's like you gotta
So-
kind of, if you think you're gonna be using some of the same material for the different grade levels, you can put them all in one and then just make the user groups. But if you know that, okay, for my first graders, I'm gonna be focusing on first sound fluency, and my second graders, I'm gonna be focusing on, I don't know, fluency rate of accuracy, then you're not, the materials you use may not be the same. So then I would just keep them in 2 separate courses. But again, you
Then-
can do
then
whatever
comes-
you want. Say it again.
Right, but I'm glad there's options, so
Yeah.
that helps. Like I said before, Schoology just deleted all my courses. So
No.
I even called and said, why did you delete all my courses? I mean, what is the purpose of having it so that we can make courses if you're just gonna go in and delete them? That doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense.
And then
So at least
I was gonna say, just because something you said made me remember something. We oftentimes have students that roll over with us, right? So another feature that I can now utilize is copy over the roster, and then that'll automatically re-enroll all my students for this upcoming year, right? Or I can keep them
Mhm.
here. It's whatever I want to do, but I like this because I don't have to start over from the beginning, right? I have started their codes already. It's ready to get going. So that's just another way to for that flexibility. And let's say you want to change a student from one course to the other, you can do it the same way right here. Just copy and paste their name over. So I mean, it's
so
really
this-
just go ahead.
No, I was saying this seems like more of a solution than before than what I had last
Yeah.
year.
I know it's unfortunate that you had to experience that, because like as soon as you said Schoology, I was already cringing over here, like, oh no, poor thing, I know what you were going through. But yeah, like this does work a lot more efficiently in my opinion, because we're just anything, you can take things from Google and bring them in. You can take your Google Slides and it'll be interactive. It's like it's all in one place, so the kids really only have to use one platform. And that's what makes it really nice. And you have so much control over what they can see and do in an instant. And that's what I think was my saving grace in doing this. Like I could just like, oh, no, we're not going to do this anymore. Shut it down, and then they don't see it. And then it's no longer a distraction or a frustration too.
My other fear is if my school decides at some point to stop paying for skies. That's my other thing.
Yeah. From one administrator to another, my administration has always laughed and said, even if 2 teachers are using it, they're gonna keep it because it is such an affordable program. And so I hope that doesn't happen to your school, but that's what a lot of them were saying. Like it's for the amount of things it can do and the amount of differentiation, they're like the value is incredible. So if that ever comes up, you can always ask us to have a meeting with them and, remind them of all the power that it has.
Right.
So with the
Okay.
remaining time, what else can I help you all with? What other things we want to try to explore?
That was basically it for me. That's why I joined for breakout room, because I'm an outside of the classroom person. So
Yeah.
now I just have to adapt my computer science curriculum to make it more interactive. So I think that'll work perfectly. I hope.
Yeah.
But now my other question is about, it's like I have to put everyone on a typing program. So putting in the link to like typing.com or Nitro Type or whatever.
Yeah, it's all really here. We'll go to typing.com. That's the one I'm familiar with. So from here, it won't log them in, but you can just take them to the login page. And we can even go in to take them to the student login page. And then you just copy the link. Let me just add a demo.
But secretly, the other reason why I was leaning toward Google Classroom is because you can upload rosters to all of those websites like typing.com. You can just upload your Google roster. So when I was in the classroom, I just had everyone join Google Classroom just for the ease of importing that roster. And I didn't use it for any other thing other than that.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that. I'm not familiar how Rialto works, but I know that because we're a Google district, I don't even need to populate rosters because my kids, they have their own devices, so they would just continue with Google. And then it will automatically populate the account that way for them.
I'm in LAUSD, but I
Oh, that's
have,
right, you are. Sorry, not Rialto. It should work
Yeah.
with Mr. LA Unified.
I have several issues, like because I'm not their classroom teacher, I have issues in terms of tracking them, in terms of them being under me, because I have several hundred students. You know
Got
what I
you.
mean? I have
Yes.
every grade level from K-5.
So how do you
So-
track it? Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So that
Well,
those are like other outside issues.
we actually have Google Classroom, and we just put skies as one of the little boxes on the Google Classroom. And then the teachers invite me to be a co-teacher.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, because then you would have access to all their rosters. Is that true, Kimberly, when you're a co-teacher then? So like every teacher that has a roster, you would have access to it?
Yes, and then I
Okay.
can also support those low functioning kids who do not qualify for special education.
Right. Very cool. Thank you for sharing that. So, 71 thing that was popping in my head was when we use typing.com, you know how they progress through? I would always
Mhm.
get my students, whenever there was like a hiccup with like rostering and stuff like that, sometimes I just have them screenshot because again, it's all about, I don't know how you're using it in your work with the students, but like when I would be working with them, sometimes I just need to know that they completed something, right? So then I would just train them to just take a screenshot and then I would have the link there and then it would be like, whatever the assignment was, and then I would just ask them to post it here. You know what I mean? So like screenshot of completion and then I would attach the responses, allow them to upload, and then they were able to just upload it that way. Again, that was
Okay, that
working with
works.
fifth graders, but yeah, like so like ST math and things like that were like, as a teacher, yes, I could go in and check them, but then I needed to know that you did it within our time frame, and then that simple screenshot let me know where they were exactly, and then we move on. So it's like one of those things like you can move on to the next task once I see this available. So just another like little thing you can try if you'd like to, or however it works.
Thank you. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Any other questions that we might be able to troubleshoot for y'all today? And again, if it's something that you need more support one-on-one, oh, James, if you need more support one-on-one in setting up your groups, once you get your rosters kind of settled in, feel free to shoot me an email and then I can talk to you about making a one-on-one appointment. Or again, the help desk that Skies has is phenomenal right down here. But if it's something that you're like, I heard you talk about this, can I learn how to do it from you? That's totally fine. I can make time for you guys as well. No worries.
Thank you
Okay,
so
thank
much.
you for the offer.
Yeah, for sure. So it looks like, are we wrapping up? I'm assuming right now, because getting all these messages, y'all are getting them too.
Yes, thank you so much,
Okay,
Christina.
yeah, you guys have a great start to the year, okay?
Okay, you too. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll hang out here another minute if we need. Let me stop the recording.